Hey guys, so here today in this video me and my buddies are doing a plus 22 Uldaman Legacy of the Tier. The two party members that I have are side quest Sid the Tank and Das Voker, who is an augmentation evoker. The other two are pugs. What I want to do is want to do some commentary to give an explanation to help those maybe struggling with keys or possibly don't know all the mechanics and show a bit of what it's like doing a 22 as well. So first off, I'm going to start by explaining the three affixes that are upon a key at, I think it's around 14, you get all three. So the first one is Fortified, which is trash mobs gaining increased health and damage. In some cases, it's not so painful, but some of the mobs in this dungeon are actually very difficult to deal with when fortified. The next one is going to be Afflicted. Now, as an enhancement shaman and a shaman in general, I get a poison cleanse totem, as you can see on my G key. It does both no matter what. Now, the only way you can clear these is by using anything that will dispel poison, curses, etc. Anything that isn't magic based. So like a priest mass dispel will not work. And that makes it kind of difficult in some cases, but when you have a shaman on your team, make sure they're running poison cleanse and you can get every other set. As you'll see in this video, I tend to forget, like most people do. It is very common to just ignore that. And so on to the next one, we have Enraged. Now in most cases, Enraged is actually like not even there for you. But you'll notice that in this dungeon and other ones, certain mobs are a real pain in the butt to deal with when they're enraged because sub 30%, they become immune to all CC effects. So you can't stun them or anything, you can only interrupt. Whereas some mobs in here actually cast protected spells that are only interrupted through damage, or not damage, stuns or knockups. So so you really want to bring a soothe sometimes. So like an evoker, they have their oppressing roar, and if they take the bonus talent for it, I believe every enrage they remove, it reduces the cooldown of oppressing roar by 20 seconds. So you can like spam it in some sense or save it for each and every pack. Now that the affixes have been, hopefully that helped a little bit on some of them. We're going on to the first boss, technically the second. You do this one first because you want to get lust. So what you do is you bring the two berserkers into the boss. And now some people might think that's kind of weird, but what these two berserkers do is oh, he died. Oh, he got zapped. That sucks. So what they do is they enrage everybody around them. They increase all damage they deal by 25%, but they also increase the damage they take by 25%, which is a huge damage increase for everybody. And as an enhanced shaman, the more targets have 6 and under is like a massive DPS increase for both single target and AoE. But yeah, so on this one, there's not too much. Basically, every so often he calls down 4 additional ads. One is a caster, as you see. The Geomancer, you want to make sure you interrupt and pull that into the tank. The other 3 kind of jump around and just be annoying in a sense. Other than that, he does a Thunder Stomp, which you want to be out of. Pardon me. But sometimes when he spawns this Quaking Totem, he'll actually overlap the Stomp. So it can be dangerous in some cases to have him on top of the spawning one. But I think that's only on like the 3rd or 4th Quaking Totem that he overlaps. But yeah, as you see, I dropped my Poison Cleanse Totem and it just dealt with those afflicted instantly. And yeah, so we're gonna keep on kicking this guy's butt, interrupting, make sure that Quaking Totem goes down. Other than that, isn't much else in the fight other than when the Quaking Totem goes off, everything is stunned and I believe takes an increased amount of damage. Okay, and he goes down. Now we're going to make our way back to the first boss, which is the Lost Dwarves, or as everybody probably knows them as the Lost Vikings. The two major mechanics of this fight is them flying around in their boat and the frontals that go out. So first two I'm going to explain are the frontals, which is heavy arrow, which is aimed, I believe it's aimed at the tank, and it goes right through him and hits anybody behind him. And now for DPS, this is most likely a one-shot. Yeah, there it goes. There is no indicator at all, so you really have to pay attention to where he is looking, or possibly where your tank is. Now the second frontal is Wild Cleave, which I believe is from the big guy. Should come up here in a second. Oh no, it's from Balelog. He does a Wild Cleave, so it works just like any other cleave. It's a tank buster, kind of, but it hits anybody on the tank. Now the other mechanic is from Olaf. Pardon me. He throws his shield. It's basically an AoE. You'll get a circle around you and basically move away from your teammates. He also puts up a defensive barrier that you'll see, that you probably saw. Just a simple interrupt. And the small guy just jumps around the map, throwing daggers at people. It's not much he does, which is weird. But other than that, when they go in the boat, if you get hit by a swirly, you'll get a dot. But if you just walk through the fire, I mean, it's generally fine. Doesn't deal an incredible amount of damage, just don't stand in it. But for these two Refty custodians, the snake guys, they gain stacking damage, but they also have a increased stun thing. Basically, they get the longer they're attacking, the more enraged they get in a sense, which they increase stacks, which increases the amount of damage they do, and they put like a bleed bite on your tank. So it's if you stun them, they take increased damage and they're stunned for longer. I'm not sure exactly how to get the proper proc off, but it's somewhere around 4 or 5 stacks. Probably see it here. He'll like explode with something. I tell him to pull him into the boss here because I want to do increased damage because I'm an enhanced shaman. Yeah. So you see how he hodged him and he exploded with like I don't know, holy energy, I guess, in a sense. So during that time he's taking increased damage. So for this next boss, this is the one that really gets groups, I think. He's a real he's very tank and healer focused on the mechanics. So I'll explain the first mechanic, which is he gains 2 charges of stun immunity. And you can actually stun this boss. So these orbs that are spawning on the ground, if you run the boss through those, he technically gets stunned, and it removes one of the charges of the barrier. And now once you he just went ahead and hodged him, which is good. If he gets maximum energy, he then casts an enrage effect, which 9 times out of 10 you're probably going to wipe because it's like a massive damage increase. And now we just stunned him again, so the optimal stun time. Oh wait, he didn't even gain an enrage stack. Okay, so I guess it really depends on the stun duration or when you stun them. But generally, you want to try and wait till around 80 to 90 energy to stun them. So it really is on the tank to move the boss into the orbs to remove his stacks or have the DPS spend them. But as you saw there, he did a crushing stomp. Now that does massive AoE damage. And I dodged it actually. So that's one thing you have to watch for, especially as an agility spec, is watch for your dodge chance because you can't rely on that to knock you out of the orbs. So you could really get screwed over there. But the other mechanic is he throws out a bleed. Now this bleed deals massive amount of damage. And so in order to help your healer, try to use, yeah, see it's on Das Voker right now. You can see it just taking 30% of his health each tick. Yeah, and that's like he popped a defensive and he's just taking damage. So yeah, if you get that on you, look at your healer's cooldown and try and help them out because you're not going to survive the tick plus a crushing stomp. It's just so massive. And later on, see, we have him at 5 enrage stacks. He's just doing damage. And so that's basically that fight. Onto these trash packs. So these trash packs are probably the second worst ones, in my opinion. The reason why is I believe it's the custodians or no, it's the Earthworm Weavers. So they cast something called Hail of Stones, I think it is. It's a protected cast. So the only way to interrupt it is with a stun or a knock up or any fear or something like that. But as you see, they're enraged and I just tried to knock it up. Didn't work because you can't CC them while they're enraged. So that's definitely where the enrage affix becomes a real pain in the butt. But yeah, like if those casts are going off, it's just doing so much damage because 2 or 3 of them are in a pack at once. And you'll probably see more of that happening in this next pull. Also to note, the other mob, which I believe was the custodian, or warder maybe, not sure, they do a frontal cleave. Okay, so it's the custodian that does a frontal cleave, which you don't want to be on your tank. Generally in any dungeon, try not to stand with your tank unless, told to. But the wardens, they cast Earth Shield on their teammates. Not such a big deal. The big deal is the Curse of Stone. Now it is dispellful if you have a Curse Dispel, which I have as a shaman, mages have, and druids have. Don't think anybody else has it. But basically what happens if that goes off, you get a massive slow stacking up. If that reaches, I think 5 stacks, you become stunned. And then once I believe if the stun ends on its own, AoE damage around you technically gets launched off, but it does actually hit you and it probably will kill you. But anyways, on to this pack. So this Runic Protector, he does massive AoE damage as you can see. Everybody's ticking down, taking big hits. The priest is doing an amazing job keeping us alive on that one. But yeah, he does that. He also does a pretty big tank buster, fissuring slam, that leaves stuff on the ground, which is, I don't think does all that much damage, but if this was like bolstering, it'd be a pain in the butt. But other than that, not much. So on this pack here, these spiders, they leap and throw poison at you. It's kind of meh. These bats though, that sonic burst, that silences everybody and deals massive damage. So it can really get out of hand if you let one go off. It really doesn't do well for the group. But yeah, you'll see these spiders jumping around. So you want to come in close so that way your melee aren't chasing them and your tank's not chasing them around. Because that slows everything down. But yeah, you can see that Poison Dot is actually taken Sid down quite a lot. But anywho, on to the fourth boss. Fourth boss. So this guy is pretty obvious of what he does. Um, they did some visual enhancements on his. So you'll see those fire novas on the ground. Those used to be really difficult to see. As you'll see the paladin get hit by one at some point, but basically he puts AoE on everybody, just spread out, easy. And then if you have a priest, stay somewhat close because it does put a magical dot on you that he can mass dispel, making everybody's life easier. But yeah, you'll see it blows up. And I didn't see it put a dot. Oh, there it is. Everybody's got a dot now. I'm not sure if that's from the AoE or Tank Buster. And as you saw, the Paladin just ate a Fire Nova. And yeah, that one shot. But for this phase, it's just dodge the laser beam. That's going to slowly rotate around the room and kill these Vault Keepers as fast as you can. There isn't this phase is probably the easiest part of the boss. Just getting there. Afflicted spawned and went off, so we got 50% reduced haste, which sucks. But yeah, it's kind of difficult to get afflicted in this phase because you're kind of limited to one side of the room. Let's see. Do I drop a totem? I just said 10 seconds to afflicted. There they are. One's gonna go off here in a second because nobody can get it. And oh, somebody got it. No way. They did get it. Okay, that's good. We got the paladin up. And we're just gonna finish the boss and then it's repeat of phase 1. Pretty simple. The only difficult part of this boss is the damage output from the dot and dodging the fire novas, which some people definitely have a difficulty of. Which is fine. Like there's a lot of moving mechanics and sometimes you just get screwed over by two moving in tandem. But yeah, other than that, this fight, in my opinion, is probably the second easiest. I'd probably give the dwarves, I'd say would be the easiest fight in the dungeon. So we're going on to these Ebonstone gold. So these things are kind of a pain in the butt. They do this thunderous clap right there. And as you see, Dash just died from like 40 or 50%. It's a big hit. So what you can do to avoid it is LOS. It's you'll see it later on, because you fight two of these at the same time. But here I think we just tank it and send it. There isn't really. Oh yeah, no, I'm LOSing that Hail of Stone because they're enraged. So as you can see, that thing ticks like a monster. But yeah, it's this dungeon is, I think it's listed as the second worst one to do. I think the only thing that might be worse would be Halls of Infusion or Vortex Pinnacle, maybe? Not sure. I haven't looked at the dungeon standings. I just know this one's the most intimidating for most people. But here we got another golem. Don't really have anywhere to LOS here. You could pull him back to the stairs, but we're just gonna send it. Deal with it. Priest got it. Puts down his barrier. Easy. I still have Ancestral Guidance. Oh. If you don't know what Ancestral Guidance, basically it turns 25% of all damage I deal into healing for nearest allies. But it's capped at like 126 per second. So they nerfed it into the ground, but it's still definitely worth taking. So for this pack here, there's I don't know really what's going on with that guy, but he puts down this AoE aura shield looking thing. Basically what happens if you're inside, you gain ticking damage, and if they're inside it, they gain increased damage. I think it's like 50% buff. Wow, that guy just died. Don't know what happened there. Probably standing on Sid, taking the cleaves. But yeah, this big guy isn't really an issue at all. The only time I'd say he's an issue is if it's bolstering, but that'll be another explanation later on, or in another video probably. But yeah, like this pack is probably the easiest pack. And now it's gonna take forever since we got an augmentation evoker in our group, and it's just me doing damage. Ooh, I'm at 245k overall. Dang. Alright. So this is the double thunderous stomp guys with I think he's gonna pull those 3 in with them. Now this spot is definitely real easy to deal with. So as you'll see is he's gonna pull those, and then he's gonna move to one of the corners by the hallway. So what you want to do is either position yourself at the bottom of the stairs so you can dip in, or if you're melee, that's Curse of Stone got off. I dispelled death, yeah. So if that had gone off, he would have died. But yeah, so basically dip into the hallway so you can avoid those thunderous stomps. They'll typically both go off roughly around the same time anyways. If you do get hit by both of them, you're probably dead. As you see, it's a 50% hit. Like, yeah. So if you're watching Das's HP there, he actually was at 50% and procced his cheat death because he got hit by that thunderous stomp. It is an absurd amount of damage. I don't know why it's got to be so high, but it's definitely way too much. Especially when gotta deal with 2 of them at the same time. It just they do give you walls to LOS, but it's to me that seems kind of weird to actually have to LOS a mechanic like that. But here you just deal with one of the big dwarfs and the thunderous stomp guy. You really got nowhere to LOS that thing. You could use, if you're really in a bind, just jump behind one of the pillars and you can LOS that easily. So it's much easier for ranged, or if your tank's tanking it right there beside the pillar, you can just dip in and out. Other than that, I mean, if you're just dealing with one, typically you can just tank it and send it. Really nothing to it. But upcoming this next pack, that will be the Infinite Dragonflight. So these two, like I don't know what they are, Infinite Agents. So these guys, they don't really do much. They do a tank buster. And they also cast something called Hasten, which buffs their allies, giving them massive haste. They're not much of an issue. The real issue is the Infinite Time Reaver. What he does is he puts that stacking debuff, and he just messes with, there it is. Basically what that does is it constantly stacks every 4 seconds, increasing the amount of damage it's going to deal to you and reducing your haste. Now, although you can mass a spell, you can, if you don't have a priest and it's taken a while to kill him, maybe you're at 5 or 4 stacks even. You wanna LOS that, so you can use the 2 pillars, or you can use this hallway. That would be the best idea to do if you don't have a priest. It just makes life easier on the healer, and you're not constantly wondering why you're dead. So it's the same thing here. Time Reaver won't take long to kill because we have the whelps to funnel and push everything into that Time Reaver. But again, you can just walk into the hallway and walk around that little corner there, sit there until the debuff's gone. It's only a 5-second debuff. You can run there at 4 or something, and really doesn't take much to get it down and help your healer out a little bit. But yeah, that easily went down. On to this next boss. This guy's kind of weird. He basically puts, oh yeah, this little, I always have trouble with this little shortcut. Don't know why. I can never get it on the first try. But for this boss, so constantly he's going to be summoning sand orbs around the room that are going to land on the floor and create a sand zone, essentially. Um, you don't want to stand in it outside of a specific phase that I'll get into when that happens. But yeah, you see those swirls that just dropped down? Those are spawning the zones. They'll grow over the fight. And if you stand in them, you're taking damage and you're reducing your haste. Also, he's going to do something called Wing Buffet or Wing Buffet. I don't know. Don't know how to say it, but basically that's going to knock you back and put a dot on you. It's very painful, so try and use small defensives to help your healer out a little bit. Oh, it didn't put a dot on us. Well, that's weird. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm thinking of something wrong. But yeah, this phase. This is where you want to stand into the sand zone because I don't know if it does damage to us, but it increases your haste by 50% or 100%. I think it's 100%. Yeah, you want to make sure you're in that during that phase because that's your damage opener. So here, I just got time sync on me. So what you can do is, as a shaman, I have Spirit Walk. Basically, what happens is it gives me movement speed, but it removes all movement impairing effects. And that time sync actually is a movement impairing effect, so it will remove it entirely. Yeah, see, I just did it there. Another thing is paladins, your Hand of Freedom will also work, and your healer can also dispel, or monk, I believe Tiger Lust will work as well. So yeah, that's basically the fight. Other than that, don't stand on your tank because he's gonna do Sand Breath, which is a frontal right there. Boom. It doesn't really hurt the tank too much, but it definitely will kill you. But yeah, as you can see, I don't have anything to remove this, so I think I give myself a heal maybe? Or am I trusting my healer? Trusted the healer. MD, I think that was a bit late, but yeah, we're gonna beat this guy and that will be the key. So yeah, if you enjoyed watching the video or if you found this very helpful, hopefully you did, then that's great. I'm hoping because I've noticed a lot of people in keys, especially when I pug, they tend to not know too much of mechanics or what possibly the class can do to deal with affixes. And I'm hoping to shed some light on that and help some people out. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching.